Hey everyone, welcome back to FavsChat. Today I am going to walk you through a detailed explanation of the second episode of the K-drama Boyfriend on Demand. I will break down the important moments, character developments, and the fun twists that happen in this episode. So sit back, relax, and let's dive right into the story. Episode 2 of Boyfriend on Demand begins right where the previous episode left off. Mirai finds herself inside the virtual reality world created by the dating simulation program. The space around her is filled with numerous glowing orbs floating in the air. They look somewhat similar to the memory spheres we saw in the animated movie Inside Out, giving the environment a dreamy and slightly mysterious feeling. However, instead of representing emotions, these orbs seem to symbolize different experiences and possibilities inside the virtual dating system. As Mirai tries to take in her surroundings and understand what is happening, she soon meets someone who introduces herself as Mirai's personalized dating manager. This character exists within the system to guide users through the experience. She explains that her role is to help Mirai navigate the various features of the program, organize her dates, and make sure everything runs smoothly while she is inside the virtual world. The manager then gives Mirai an important item, a ring. This ring is essentially Mirai's connection to the virtual system. She is instructed to wear it while she is locked into the experience. Whenever she removes the ring, she will instantly return to the real world. It's basically her exit button from the simulation. Curious and slightly excited, Mirai places the ring on her thumb and decides to step back into the scenario we saw at the end of episode 1. She finds herself once again on a beautiful beach with Siyu, the virtual boyfriend she encountered earlier. The atmosphere feels incredibly real. The sound of the waves, the warm breeze, and the presence of Siyu all seem almost identical to reality. However, the moment Siyu touches her, Mirai suddenly becomes overwhelmed by how realistic everything feels. The sensation surprises her so much that she quickly removes the ring, which immediately pulls her out of the simulation and brings her back to the real world. Naturally, this strange and fascinating experience makes Mirai curious. She decides to look up information about the program online. During her research, she learns that the technology behind the game is incredibly advanced. It's designed to stimulate all 5 senses, creating an immersive experience that feels almost indistinguishable from real life. The system analyzes user preferences and adapts every detail to create the most personalized romantic experience possible. According to the promotional material, the developers even claim that this technology could completely transform how people experience relationships in the future. Another surprising detail catches Mirai's attention. The game offers more than 900 different themes and hundreds of potential virtual boyfriends that users can interact with. The sheer variety makes the experience sound even more intriguing. Even though Mirai hasn't fully processed everything yet, and technically hasn't gone on a proper date in the game, she can't help but feel impressed by the scale of the project. The next day at the office, Mirai is still thinking about what happened. She sits at her desk, distracted and slightly dazed as she recalls the surreal events from the previous night. Meanwhile, her co-worker Kyung Nam is dealing with a problem of his own. He learns that his client, the webtoon artist Twani, is being moved to a different publishing schedule. Originally, the webtoon had a specific release day, but the company has now decided to move it to Fridays. This change means that Twani's webtoon will now be released on the same day as Yoon Sung's webtoon, putting the two stories in direct competition. The director explains that the change is meant to encourage healthy competition between the writers, believing that a little rivalry might motivate them to produce even better work. However, Kyungnam isn't completely convinced that this is a good idea. He worries that the situation might create unnecessary tension between the teams. For the moment, he decides not to tell Miri about the change, considering how distracted she actually seems. It might be better for her to focus on her work without additional stress. Unfortunately, Mira's concentration doesn't improve much throughout the day. Everywhere she looks, she keeps imagining that she sees Siyu. It's almost as if the virtual experience has left a lingering impression on her mind. That night, curiosity gets the better of her. Mira puts the headset back on and decides to fully explore her date with Siyu this time. When she enters the simulation, the scene changes to a luxurious hotel setting. In this scenario, Mira finds herself playing the role of a hotel employee while Siyu appears as a wealthy guest. The entire situation follows classic romantic drama cliches. The interactions between them feel exaggerated and dramatic, almost like a scene from a typical romance story. Mire quickly realizes how over the top the dialogue sounds. She can't help cringing at some of the lines she is expected to respond to. Although the situation is amusing, she feels a little embarrassed acting out these dramatic moments. Eventually, the awkwardness becomes too much and she removes the ring again, exiting the simulation. The next day at work, Mire finally learns about the webtoon schedule change. She immediately goes to confront the director about it. From her perspective, this decision could create serious pressure for Yeon-sung, who might not react well to the sudden competition. Meanwhile, Yeon-sung is completely unreachable. She is currently sitting alone in a karaoke booth, ignoring Mire's phone calls. Surprisingly, it turns out that Yeon-sung already knows about the schedule change. Instead of reacting dramatically, she has decided to take a very relaxed approach and simply let the situation play out. However, the stakes are actually quite high. If Yeon-sung's ratings drop and Hwani's story overtakes hers, it could affect her reputation as a writer. On the other hand, it would give Kyungnam and his client a major advantage. Mire eventually manages to convince Yeon-sung to reconsider. She encourages her to take the competition seriously and work together to develop stronger story ideas. But Yeon-sung admits that she is feeling exhausted and uninspired. She believes that her webtoon has only remained popular because of Siyu's attractive character design rather than the quality of the writing itself. Feeling overwhelmed by everything, Mire decides she needs a break. Once again, she puts on the headset and returns to Boyfriend on Demand virtual world. This time, she encounters some new characters who appears to be part of the storyline. There's the chief secretary assisting Mr. Choi named Choi Min-ju, and a driver named Mr. Ko. The driver has a very dramatic personality and even behaves like he is an action movie, getting into intense confrontations with other drivers on the road. These characters seem to reflect the kind of supporting roles that often appear in Jong Suk's stories. It becomes clear that the system has incorporated elements from Jong Suk's writing style into the simulation, almost as if it's bringing her fictional world to life. Of course, the real highlight of this sequence is Mire's continuing date with Siyu. Their virtual outing includes luxurious experiences, like trying on expensive outfits, enjoying champagne together on a rooftop with a beautiful city view, and sharing delicious meals. During this time, Mire begins to notice something interesting. The fantasy atmosphere and romantic gestures remind her of classic romance tropes that the audience tends to love. This realization sparks an idea. Inspired by her experience in the simulation, Mire rushes to Jong Suk's house with a new plan. She explains that sometimes you have to go backward to move forward. In other words, instead of trying to reinvent everything, Jong Suk should return to the core elements that make romantic stories enjoyable. Mire points out that Siyu perfectly represents the classic romantic fantasy, the charming, well-disable character who sweeps the heroine into an exciting world of luxury and romance. If Jong Suk leans into these familiar elements while improving the dialogue and storyline, it could make the webtoon much more engaging for readers. At the same time, there is still some professional tension building between Mire and Kyungnam. Because their projects are now competing directly, their working relationship has become slightly more complicated. They even end up staying late at the office together as the teams work to finish their updates. Eventually, Jong Suk uploads the later character of her story. Everyone anxiously waits to see how readers will react. To their surprise and relief, the webtoon titled The Man to Know quickly climbs to the #1 spot in the rankings. The next day, when Mire arrives at the office, she becomes the center of attention. Her co-workers are excited about the sudden success of the webtoon and praise her for helping improve the storyline. With a subtle smile, Mire even throws a playful bit of shade toward Kyungnam, enjoying the moment as her teammates celebrate the achievement. Online comments and reviews are overwhelmingly positive. Readers love the new direction of the story and seem excited about where it might go next. Outside of work, Mire continues exploring the virtual dating experiences with Siyu. During one of their interactions, Siyu even tries to take their relationship to the next level by proposing to her. However, Mire isn't ready for something that serious, even if it's just a part of simulation. She tells him that she would prefer to keep things more casual. Siyu eventually agrees not to rush things. Instead, he simply asks if she will be his girlfriend within the game. As the romantic moment builds, Siyu leans closer as if he is about to kiss her. Mire jokingly describes the overwhelming excitement she feels as a dopamine explosion. But right in the middle of this emotional moment, something unexpected happens. The entire virtual environment suddenly freezes. Mire soon discovers the reason. She has already used up her maximum allowed time in the simulation. The system had a limit of 50 hours and she has exited it. Because of that restriction, she can no longer continue her interactions with Siyu. The news completely shocks her. The disappointment even carries over into her real-life behavior. At work, she seems distracted and not quite like her usual self. When Mr. Min asks about her experience with the app, Mire ends up talking about Siyu and the impression he left on her. He reminds her that the app contains 899 other potential virtual partners. CU might have made a strong first impression, but the system was designed to offer a wide range of experiences. According to him, exploring these options might lead to even more interesting moments. After thinking about it for a while, Mira decides to give it another try. She logs back into the system and prepares to meet a completely new virtual boyfriend. And that's where this episode leaves us, setting up the next chapter of Mirai's unusual and entertaining journey. If you enjoyed this explanation, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to FavsChat for more K-drama recaps and explanations. Also, leave a comment below and let me know what you think about this episode. I will be back soon with the explanation of the next episode. Thanks for watching.